Hey everyone, I am here with Josh and Mady. Thank you guys both so much for joining me today. Excited to dive in a little bit more and hear about what brought you to the 1%, what you do behind the scenes, and how it's been going. So, why don't you start by just telling me a little bit about yourselves?
Yeah, I can go first. So my name's Maddie, and then my husband Josh is also on the call. But I do sales as my full-time job, and our goal is to create financial freedom for ourselves. And so we really started deep diving into ways to do that, and short-term rentals and specifically arbitrage really stuck out to us, which is what led us to the 1%.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
and I'm Josh. So I've been in human resources for a little bit now, and like Maddie said, just really kind of striking or striving towards that financial freedom. So that's kind of the big driver for why we chose this group, and why we have probably seen just continual success so far.
Nice. Have you guys done other investments before? Or is this kind of the first avenue?
This is the first step. So outside of like typical Roth 401k, the more traditional routes with your career, this would be our first step into that. So
Nice. So what made you guys of all the options out there, right? There's certainly multiple ways you can kind of increase your wealth, start to build some of that financial freedom. What made you guys decide, like, I think I want to do it through short-term rentals?
well, I think part of it, and Josh, I keep answering first, so feel free to jump in. But I feel like the biggest part of it is we've seen some personal family friends have success with short term rentals, so that's really what struck the initial curiosity with it. But after researching, okay, there's multiple different ways to get into real estate. There's long term rentals or short term rentals. There's midterm. Like now we got to figure out which one works the best for us. And that's where we then decided short-term rental probably makes the most sense right now. And then from there, there's so many different ways to do short-term rentals. Then you start learning about arbitrage and so many other avenues. So really, it just came down to researching and figuring out what worked best for us. But that's kind of what led us down this road.
Nice. Love it. So you joined our program. How was your experience kind of running through the actual like program aspect of things? So kind of the training programs, the coaching calls, the community page, how has that kind of been for not necessarily doing this before and kind of jumping into it?
I'd say all the tools that the 1% has provided has been extremely helpful. I mean, the coaching calls on a weekly basis. I mean, just I would consider them like hot topics, right? Of what people are trying to maybe figure out or struggling with.
Yeah.
And it's really helped us kind of continue to improve and jumpstart our property. But even to before that, just like the process going through and having the videos on the portal
Mhm.
and doing that step by step was extremely helpful just because we could have a basic understanding before moving on to the next phase of the project.
Nice. Very cool. So you guys tell us a bit more about where you ended up getting a property.
We actually landed in Houston, Texas.
Great.
So it's a single family home. It's a 4 bed, 2.5 bath, and built in 2019. So a little backyard where we were able to kind of put out a movie screen and just a little outdoor area for our guests to settle. But it turned out really good.
Nice. Very cool. And you guys are not local to Houston, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
No, we're
Where
not.
where are you guys located?
South
South
Bend,
Bend,
Indiana.
Indiana.
Nice. Okay. How has it been kind of living in South Bend, but managing a property in Houston? Obviously not right next door to be able to pop in and take care of things. So how's it been kind of getting used to managing it remotely?
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest, it like the initial process and thought of going outside of our initial geographical area was definitely stressful. It was something we were torn, like, do we try and stay near South Bend because it allows us to be hands-on? And ultimately this property ended up really sticking out to us, and in allowing ourselves to be flexible with where we land as far as a short-term rental really, I think, has led to our success because it's allowed us to really identify the best property for us. But as far as managing remotely, it's been a big learning curve. But now that we do have everything set up, it's been a breeze, really. We have an awesome team down there. We actually had a chance to go down there about a month ago.
Nice.
And it's been a handful of months since we launched, but we finally got down there and got boots on the ground, and we were able to like meet our whole team that's been working for us. And they've all been excellent. And I think there's always going to be those small challenges, like when you run into hiccups along the way, like a missing blanket, and now I got to find a way to deliver a blanket before the next guest. Those are always those small hiccups, but
Yep.
after being down there in person, understanding what's in the area and things like that, it's really become such a breeze. Like it was definitely a learning curve at the beginning for sure, but now that we know how to do it, it's really like eliminated that block in my mind of us being able to do that again. So that's what's cool about technology, is you can be in a different area of the world and still be able to run a business, which is cool.
Yeah. And the technology's gotten that much better, right? Where it's like the AI functionality where you're like, do I have this in the supply closet? I don't know. Hospitable, please help me. Do I have this on hand? Or, cleaners readily, if you build a strong relationship with your cleaner, you build a strong relationship with your handyman. Like they really are your right-hand people, right? Like
absolutely,
they own the property as much as you do, right?
For sure.
Nice. I'm glad you guys got the chance to actually visit it in person. A lot of times people never make it out there, but it makes such a difference because you can speak to, that one doorknob that's a little funky and what you need to do, or hey, we grabbed a latte at this coffee shop. It's really good. All those little personal quirks definitely make a difference on things.
Absolutely.
For sure.
Very cool. So did you guys do self-design? Did you guys use our design team?
We chose your design team.
Okay. So what do you think about the design? Obviously, I heard we've got a movie theater in the backyard, but how is your experience working with design? Have your guests been responsive to the design? How's that gone?
Maddie, you want to take this one?
Yeah, sure. So it's gone really, really well. I mean, we're remote to the location. So when it came to deciding to use the design team, that was the biggest piece, was they'd be able to get it done quickly, efficiently, and we knew they'd do a good job too because they're pros in this area, right? So with it being our first property, we really wanted to make sure we set ourselves up for success with the right design from the get-go. But as far as how it's been receptive to the guests, we've received nothing but good feedback on it. Especially our first few guests, they knew they were like our first guests because we had told them that, and they had said like the design was great. It's very convenient. The flow makes sense. There's enough amenities. The one challenge with our house is the square footage isn't big. So it's a 4-bed, 2.5 bath, but there's not a lot of space. But like the design team really did a good job, like creating a few amenities here and there to make it still special for the guests with the minimal space that we do have.
Nice. Very cool. So when did you officially launch your property?
October of 2024.
Okay.
Yeah, so we signed the lease, I believe, in September 1st, and then that gave us a month basically, and then we went live the first week of October.
Hit the ground running. Nice. So what has kind of been your favorite part of hosting so far?
I'd say hearing everyone's story as to how they found our property. Like, I mean, we just hosted somebody who had a water emergency at their house. Like, you feel for them, and they're like, "Oh, well, we loved your house. We're gonna try to come back towards the end of the week just because we already had another guest coming in." But it's like just hearing their story and how we can really have a positive impact to them during that rough time.
Yeah. Was that through a term site, or did they actually just come through like Airbnb or
Airbnb?
All of our bookings have been through Airbnb. So we've been on like bookings.com, VRBO. We're on, Josh, what's that other site? Furnish Finder. We're on there as well. But everything's come through Airbnb, which we've been very, excited about because that's really the platform we've been leveraging the most.
Yep.
But yeah, to Josh's point, it's been fun to see the reasons people are coming to the area. Like, there was a lady a few weeks ago, her and her family came because they just had like another granddaughter was born. So they're coming in the family to visit. So it's just fun hearing their stories and being like a part of that, and being able to provide them a good stay. It's also been exciting too, I would say, like selfishly for like the financial standpoint for us to be able to see the bookings coming in and seeing like all of our hard work come to fruition, and being able to really like run a business. You start seeing all this money coming in and then understand like, okay, how do we allocate, paying off, our design fees and stuff like that. So it's been a lot of fun just from all of those different aspects.
Yeah. At a high level, how's your revenues kind of been looking?
Really strong so far.
good.
So we got very lucky, I think, from the get-go. And I shouldn't say luck because that means, that there wasn't anything involved on our end. But we did get some really, really great guests right from the get-go. We had like a couple midterm stays that helped us carry us through that November, December, January, which is slow season for Houston.
Yep.
And it basically has led us right into February where we've gotten tons of bookings to carry us through the month. So our revenue has been really, really great. Even in these slow months. So that midterm would have wrapped up right around Christmas time. January, we got a couple bookings that led us right up over, it ended up being a decently profitable month. And then this month we're looking to be profitable as well. And then we're leading right into March where it's our busy season. We already have tons of bookings. So that's been awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not luck, right? It is that if you guys are seeing really strong profits, even during some of the off season, securing those like midterm rental stays, like that is hard earned practice on your part of using the tools, using the resources, executing those how you need to be able to sustain year round, right? Everyone loves a great high season, great rates, but people who can demonstrate even through the off season, even when you're behind lead times, things like that, being able to push through and find those opportunities, you guys both deserve a big pat on the back for that, because it's hard work for sure.
Thank you.
How's it been using how's it been using Price Labs? How's it been using Hospitable? Do you guys feel like you have a good handle on it? How's that been for you?
I feel like Josh has managed it for the most part from our standpoint, so he should probably be the one speaking to it. But I've definitely gotten more comfortable with it. It took me a while to get used to it. I prefer just operating directly off the Airbnb site, but I know Josh is a lot better at using all the actual fundamentals to running it. So
Yeah. I mean, I'm all about putting the tools in place to make sure your life's a little easier, right? That's what I do in my current job. But even now, just using Hospitable. Okay. Well, you can automate so many different things. You can plug it all in there and it still creates that guest experience. And it takes less time out of my day to day.
Yep.
And even same with dynamic pricing and Price Labs. I mean, you can still kind of fluctuate and it gauges the entire market and local upcoming events. But I mean, then you have the ability, okay, when you're having lower occupancy, you still can at least get it filled, right? And you're still having some sort of income coming your way. So, I mean, there's so many different resources built into those tools itself, and they have their own videos and training. So, I mean, really, you got to just spend the time initially to learn it. But I mean, I would say if you're curious, it's a fun one to learn.
I love that. I am like a big proponent for knowledge is power. And it's exactly that, right? The fact
Yes.
that you said they even have their own videos, like that is fundamentally what makes a difference in a successful host is the people who then are like, I've got all this great training and resources, but I'm also going to hop on Price Labs live calls to ask questions or watch the additional training videos. Like the more knowledge you put on the front end, the more success you're going to have down the line. So
Oh,
that's
exactly.
awesome. I love that
I
you're
feel
like
like the
adding
biggest
those videos.
I feel like the biggest thing too, like hospitable has been a big one. Like it's been so helpful, all the automated messages and stuff. But like when we always like share experience with others, like the biggest thing about having it's like an asset in a way is like when you force yourself to get a property that's not geographically in your location, it forces you to set all this stuff up correctly from the get-go. And it creates a very professional experience for your customers because they're getting those automated messages with all of the information they need. They don't have to wait for a response from us. And of course, we pipe in when we need to, but I feel like that's been like the most helpful thing learning about all of these different platforms that we've been using to help run it is it's really forced us to set all that up. Because really, if we would have stayed in our geographical location, you probably could try and like limp your way through just doing it yourself, and yeah, so.
And to add to that too, like thinking about the future, it's only going to set us up for success to continue to scale, right? So we got it already in place for the first property. Well, now we do that for the second, third, and so forth.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. Having those systems in place that you can step and repeat, replicate in the future. Yeah. So what does the future look like? Do you guys see yourself taking on another one at some point?
I would say, yeah, I think that would be our goal. I mean, if we can this year, great. If not, early next year. But I think that's where we also may look down the co-hosting route to see if we can just continue to get more experience in preparation for the launch of our next property.
I love that, right? That speaks to, obviously you guys have a heart for hospitality somewhere in the mix of it all, because to really enjoy doing this, to decide you want to co-host for other people, like obviously you guys found something that works really well for what you got, your own skill sets that you guys have and what you enjoy doing. That's awesome. I'm super happy for you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So one thing I always love to ask, obviously, like jumping into an investment, jumping into something like short-term rentals and through rental arbitrage, coming into it, it all sounds kind of crazy. It all sounds kind of like, is this a real thing? Can you have success in it? What would you guys say to somebody who's maybe on the fence of like, is this the right time? Does this make sense? Like, what would you guys say?
I would say the biggest thing I would say is just do it. Like and the reason I say that is because we had looked at like getting into real estate investing in general. We had been looking at it and talking about it the last 2 to 3 years. And we kept doing tons of research and stuff. And we would get to a point where we were so excited and we were about to pull the trigger. And then like we'd let fear like stand in our way. And then finally, like this last year when we discovered about arbitrage, we just decided, after talking with your guys' 1% team, we were about ready to have that fear like pull us out again. And then we just finally looked at each other and like, you know what, if we don't do it now, we're never going to do it. Like, what's the worst case scenario? You tried it and it didn't work out. So like that's the worst case scenario. It's like, what do you have to lose? And so that was kind of the mindset that we had with it. And then obviously it's been very successful. So and we've heard tons of success from other people in the 1% as well. But that's like the biggest advice I have for people is just don't let fear stand in your way. It seems so cliche, but it's literally like for us, like it was so true. Like it's what had us dragging our feet for a few years.
Yep.
And that also aligns with almost every other podcast I listen to as well. Like with short-term rentals, with people trying to get into the market, they're like, just go for it. What's actually holding you back, right?
Yep.
Like now is your time. And I mean, you can always recover, but I mean, if you're going to continue to question it, well, then you're never going to do it. So, yeah, it's just really interesting because once we got over that hurdle, we're like so grateful and we're like, why didn't we do this earlier?
Yeah.
But I mean, it all kind of worked out for a reason and it's been very fun.
That's amazing. Yeah, that's always the struggle of like, darn it, if I had just done this sooner, where would I be scaling at to this point? But
Right?
but it's exactly that, right? It is a leap of faith. It takes a lot to jump into this, to consider doing this. There's a risk associated, but I think you guys kind of like well-rounded it of the idea of like the more informed you are, the better you're setting up your systems, the more you're really building this with the mindset of like, how do I scale this in the future? You're going to see success. What you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. And it sounds like it was a good leap of faith for you guys. Awesome. Cool. Well, I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you guys chatting a bit more about your experience. And yeah, I'm excited to see if property number 2 happens this year or next year, but nonetheless excited to see it coming down the pipeline for you guys.
Thank you.